Well, this is a video. I'm Dr. Dale, and this is Kevin Hopper. And Kevin is very interested in the mathematics that we're creating and is involved with our company and is actually going to ask me a bunch of questions that many parents are asking so that perhaps you can get an idea of what we're doing.
Thank you, Craig. Let's see. First off, you have this sort of different teaching style than most programs out there. I guess the first question is, does it actually work?
Oh, it certainly does. It really all started back when I was in high school and I started helping some of my classmates. And I found out that if I use what today I call the Socratic technique, where you ask questions and lead them along, that they responded very well to it. And what I found out is that everybody learns at their own pace. And so you had to go at their pace and you had to give them feedback and interaction, and then they could learn. The minute you start lecturing to a student, you can lose them, and usually you do.
Yeah.
And once they get lost, then they get discouraged and so forth. So the key thing, and what we talk about in our triad, is the psychology. And so when I was teaching my classmates, I got their psychology right, they found out they could learn it, and they did. And then that continued on. I've done that now for many, many decades, actually.
You said you have numerous examples over decades, right?
Yeah, I have. Actually, I started, like I said, in high school. I taught my classmates when I was in college, went to Oberlin College. I taught high school for a year. A very wonderful experience over in Western Reserve High School in Ohio. Then I taught at DePaul. My hometown was Greencastle, and I had actually studied math at DePaul when I was in high school, and I came back and taught there then. And then I went to graduate school, and I taught in graduate school. And all the while I'm doing that, I'm tutoring students. I made a pretty good living tutoring because a lot of the students struggled in their classes with their regular professors are doing their lecturing, and I was able to apply these techniques. In fact, these evolved into what I call the SPIKE pedagogy, S-P-I-K-E. And I highly recommend that if you don't know what that is, you go to our website and watch the SPIKE video, because that really is the key to successful pedagogy. Well then, after I got a PhD, I taught 3 years at a teacher's school in State University. I actually taught advanced theory, but I began to see what was wrong with math education even then because of what they were doing. Then I taught 4 years at engineering school, Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in Terre Haute, Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. And then I decided to do other things. I went off and did a lot of other things. As you know, I've been involved in a lot of different businesses over the years, but then I formed an industrial training company. For about 30 years, we trained technical people in industry. I'm talking Ford, General Motors, Caterpillar, all these companies, and we applied this pedagogy in technical training. And one of the keys to that success was they needed to learn practical math. That was always a deficiency. They would come in and they were afraid of math, they hadn't learned it. We teach them the basic math they needed, then they could learn the hydraulics or the pneumatics or the electronics or whatever. And so that went on for really 3 decades. And then I decided, because of modern technology and what we could do, that we could actually put that program into an online form where it would be very cost effective to deliver it and teach anybody that wanted to know practical math. And that's what we did with the Practical Math Foundation. And we put a lot of students through that, and they're doing very, very well. A lot of students that had not been doing well at all, had basically failed at math, and then once they were taught properly, they could do it. And of course, we can talk a lot more about how that program works in a minute.
So basically, you found a technique that works with some of the most difficult students, adults, outside of the classical education realm, and you brought it back to students, within the classroom, correct?
Yes, because it's the same techniques I used when I was tutoring students.
Yeah.
And then it worked in industrial education. A lot of these people would come in with a chip on their shoulder about math. They hated math.
Naturally.
I had a bad experience with math. I didn't like it. I can't stand it. And then I would start teaching them the basic math they needed. And I go, well, that's easy. I can do that. And then a comment I would get all the time is, well, gee, why didn't somebody teach me this 20 years ago? This would have been really valuable to me. Because you need to know practical math to do hydraulics or pneumatics or mechanical or electrical or all sorts of things. And so that's really where it kind of evolved. I came to realize that, you don't need to know anywhere near all the stuff they try to teach in high school to do the practical. And that's the foundation I think you should lay for everybody. Now, once you've laid the foundation, you can build on that, and we can talk about that in a moment. But the important thing is the pedagogy I mentioned already, the spike pedagogy, but the other equal important thing is the content. If you start trying to teach a student something that's not relevant to them or is difficult, they're never going to need it, then you're going to lose it, and rightly so. Why would you want to learn something that you're never going to use or have any value to, particularly if it's hard to learn? And so that's why we've eliminated everything in the Practical Math Foundation that we don't think would have real value to you in the practical world.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, Craig, this was all great to hear. Maybe later we can hear more about the Practical Math Foundation and more about your content that you're releasing?
Yeah, sure. As a matter of fact, it probably would be worthwhile to have a few more conversations about this, because not only can we talk about the Practical Math Foundation a little more, which, by the way, there's a lot of information on our website about that, but we can also talk about what comes after that for students that want to go beyond practical math, that want to go on and do well on the SAT, or maybe want to go to college, and there's a whole program. We'll talk about that in another video.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.